Okay, so hi church. We have this crazy idea that we wanted to try midweek, sort of an encouraging message for all of you, but also still practicing social distancing. I thought it would be neat if maybe I interviewed one of our shepherds or one of our ministers each week and just give them an opportunity to kind of close out with an encouraging message for everyone in our church. And so we'll experiment with this and see how it goes. As you can see, we have our resident monk from the eldership, our contemplative Jim Trotter. And Jim, say hi to everyone.
Good evening, church. Good to be with you.
And I'm just going to ask you a few questions, and we'll make it short and sweet. How about that?
Sounds good.
So first things first, a lot of people have been praying for you, and I'm sure a lot of people would love, if you don't mind sharing, maybe some updates on your current medical status, as far as how you're personally doing, but also what's the plans?
Yeah, sure. My surgery was originally scheduled for March 26th, and of course, that got pushed back about a month with all of the COVID-19 virus issues. So it looks like we're now planning around May 1, sometime in that time frame. We'll see. The surgeon says I'm number one on the list whenever he gets the green light. So hopefully we'll be shooting for the end of April, 1st of March. Fortunately, it's a slow-growing, non-malignant tumor. He said it may have been growing for 10 years, which could explain a lot of things. So they're expecting a pretty full recovery. Well, I'm expecting a full recovery, that's for sure. We'll see if we need radiation or chemotherapy after that. May not be needing either. And I really appreciate everybody's prayers and encouragement. It's just been such a blessing the way people have reached out to me. It's been a wonderful example of being part of a church family. It's just really touched me a lot.
Well, I know you said you're hoping for full recovery. That's our prayers.
Yes.
Praying
yes.
for that. So
yeah.
Okay, so we've been told to practice social distancing, and I'm curious to know if you and Sandy are actually practicing social distancing in your home, and if so, what does that look like?
Well, interesting you should ask. When I retired from the dental school in May, Sandy was very quick to let me know that after retirement, she was not going to be needing a chaperone, which I took to mean that I needed to get a life after retirement. And so I quickly set upon making sure I had lots of other activities. So when we were told to stay in place, for this whole virus thing, we actually ended up getting much closer than we had been because we were staying pretty busy in our post-retirement activities. So we've actually been enjoying spending time talking and cooking and things that we were really too busy to do prior to this. So it's really been enjoyable to do some things that we like to do. Watch Westerns. Sandy's a big Western fan, so we do a lot of Westerns, and we like to read. We like to do crossword puzzles. So yeah, it's been actually really fun to get kind of closer together.
So what's her favorite Western?
Anything that actually has where the good guy wins. She's an old time, black and white, right always wins. John Wayne. It's got to be clear right is always might. It's just she is a dualist from way back.
Wow.
That's Sandy.
All right. So just kind of close out our time as one of our shepherds. What
Yes.
would be something that, at least for this week, what would be a message of encouragement or comfort that you would like to share with our church family?
Well, I think personally, and in talking with many of our missional partners, um, most of us have been challenged very significantly in one way or another, because we have been faced with the realization that things that we thought were set and kind of on autopilot weren't. And in significant ways, our world has been turned upside down. For me personally, it started with that diagnosis of having not just, just something going wrong. It's a brain tumor, right? It's like, whoa, that's that's a little bit more significant than what I was expecting. So, so I was able to kind of get my mind wrapped around that, no pun intended, but and I was able to kind of live in the day and stay present, and I thought I was handling that pretty well. And then the virus thing hit, and now it's pushed back 30 days, and then all of the things that surround that. And I was suddenly faced with this whole idea that I'm not in control. I had thought that all of my contemplative practice had gotten me to a point where I was able to let go and let God, and boy, was I wrong. I suddenly found myself not able to manage my emotions. My plans, my needs, my goals, my expectations suddenly were at the top of the list. And God and I were having this struggle with how could he let this happen? And it was, I found myself for the first time able to write a lament, a psalm of lament. And it still feels emotional when I think about having to let go of all of these things that I had already planned over the next year or two. And so it made me realize that it doesn't matter where we are in life, we can be faced with things that are going to make us shaken. They're going to make us get out of balance. And so over the last week or so, I've just, in talking with missional partners and looking at my own spiritual journey, it's made me come to realize that this is a time for us to open up to the invitation of God to look at how do we take this time and use it as an opportunity to remember. We know that God didn't cause this, but God can use this. He can help us to remember, like the Israelites did, many of those big moments, right? God can help us remember this so that in the future, when we are faced with challenges, when we are faced with suffering, when we are faced with deep, deep pain, we can go back to these moments for courage and strength and faith and hope, so that we can face whatever it is that we're going to be facing. Most significantly, we will be able to remember that it doesn't last, it's temporary, that it will end, and then we can move on, and we will be able to overcome whatever it is because we will have gone through this before. And I think that's one of the most significant things we can gain from this, is to grab hold of it, let God invite us into it, lean into it, and make sure that we let God be part of this, not run past it, not look past it, but actually dig into it and grab hold of it so that we have significant memory of it, and let it add to our faith foundation.
Well, thank you for that. You have a way of being that brings a sense of peace and calm to those that are around you. And so I thank you for that and for being that person. And thank you for your words.
Thank you. Good to see you, Gilbert.
It's good to see you.
Take
All
care.
right. Take care.
All righty. Bye.